Hi folks, Jamie from jrr.yoga here with your Wellness Wednesday practice. Start your practice seated. Finding whatever is a comfortable seat for you today. As long as you can sit with length in your spine. Allow your eyes to come closed and bring your awareness to your breath. Observe your breath without changing it. Start to lengthen your inhales and your exhales. Find your way to a full, deep, even breath. With big, full inhales and complete exhales. Bring your arms along your sides, palms facing out. Inhale, take the arms up overhead, hands touch one another. And with your exhale, moving into a twist, so twisting to the right hand moves to the ground behind you, left hand to the right leg. It is more important here to have length in your spine than it is to have a deep twist. Inhale, untwist. We'll sweep the arms up overhead. On the exhale, twisting to the left, right hand to left leg, left hand to the floor behind you. Inhale, untwist, just walk those hands to the knees, finding some length in your spine. From here, move to a tabletop position on hands and knees. Move through cow and cat, coming into cow pose first. Arch that spine, lift your hips, lift your chest. Exhale into cat, round the spine, tuck your chin, tuck your pelvis. We'll just flow between those two poses, using your breath to guide your movements. 4 more times. After the 4th round, moving back into tabletop position with a neutral spine. Walk your hands toward the top of the mat. We'll plant the hands mindfully into the mat and find your way to a downward facing dog. So lifting those hips, letting the heels sink toward the floor. We'll be there just briefly, so walk your feet towards your hands or your hands back to your feet. Either way, moving into a half standing forward fold with length in your spine. And on an exhale, sinking in to a standing forward fold. Your knees here, of course, can still be as bent as they need to accommodate tightness in the back of the body. And inhale, sweep the arms up, moving all the way to standing, upward salute, arms overhead. And exhale, hands down to heart. Inhale, take the arms up, overhead, upward salute. Exhale, fold forward, belly button and chest kind of lead the way in your forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, take your hands down to the mat. You can bend your knees to get them there. Walk the feet back. Find your version of plank. Maybe starting out with knees on the ground. From your plank, do take those knees down to the floor. Walk your hands back towards your knees until you can find your way to an upright kneeling position. Shoulders stacked over hips, hips stacked over knees. Bring the hands to your low back or hips. Move into a back bend here by gently pressing the hips forward, lifting the chest. You can lift or tuck the chin based on whatever feels comfortable in your neck. And move your way out of that back bend. We'll bring hands back down to the top of the mat into a downward facing dog. And then walk those feet towards your hands or hands back to the feet. Half standing forward fold. Exhale, sink, standing forward fold. Inhale, take those arms up, come to standing, upward salute. And exhale, hands to heart. That is one round of our modified sun salutation, and we'll do a few more here. Inhale, arms up, upward salute. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, bring those hands to the mat, your feet back to your version of plank. Drop your knees to the ground, lift your torso, moving into that kneeling back bend. So hands to hips. Press those hips forward, lift or tuck the chin to a baby camel. And draw those hips back in space. Take the hands down to the top of the mat, downward facing dog. Walk your feet towards your hands or hands back to the feet into a half standing forward fold. Exhale, sink, standing forward fold. Inhale, sweep the arms up, moving to standing. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands to the mat, feet find plank. Knees down to the floor. Coming up for the back bend, hands come to hips or low back. Tuck those elbows. Press the hips and chest forward. Draw that belly button back in. Hands come back down to the top of the mat. Downward facing dog. Walk hands to feet or feet to hands. Move into a half standing forward fold. And sink into standing forward fold. Inhale, sweep the arms up, upward salute. Exhale, hands to heart. One more round of that sun salutation, arms up overhead. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands to the mat, feet back to your version of plank. And drop those knees down to the ground, moving into that baby camel pose. A little bit of a kneeling back bend here. And moving out of that back bend and into downward facing dog. Let's take knees down to the floor. Sit back into a child's pose. From your child's pose, move your way up to hands and knees. And then onto your stomach. Chest and forehead end up resting on the ground. Move those hands so they are flat on the floor next to your low ribs. Tuck the elbows in towards your sides. With an inhale to a low cobra pose, lifting head, lifting chest. Lots of engagement here in abdomen and low back. And exhale, lower that forehead back down. Re-engage, lift head, lift chest. This time sliding the hands forward and taking the elbows down to the mat, stacked underneath the shoulders into a Sphinx pose here. Really looking for length in the spine, maybe a gentle tuck in the chin. A little bit of a supported back bend here. And slide those hands back, lower your chest and forehead to the floor. Move up into tabletop position and into downward facing dog. Take your knees to the floor. Sweep your right leg around to step your foot in between your hands. So it goes left hand, right foot, right hand on the mat, at the top of the mat. Hands here could stay on the floor. You could move them up to yoga blocks if you have some. Otherwise, soup cans are great, those big tall ones. Hands could come to knee. Or if you'd like to find a little bit of a back bend, you could take those arms up overhead. It's definitely a little tougher on the balance. Find the version that works for you today. Bring your left hand down to the floor. Take your right arm up toward the ceiling, moving into a twist. If you need a little more space for your twist, walk that right foot toward the right edge of the mat, just to make a little more room. And inhale, untwist. Take that hand back down to the floor. You're going to scoot that right leg back around, moving into tabletop on hands and knees. Now, sweep that left foot to the top of the mat. So left hand, left foot, right hand. Hands can stay on the floor, stay on a prop. Move to that front knee. Or arms can come up overhead, finding that slight back bend. And moving out of the back bend, take your right hand down to the floor, left hand up toward the ceiling. Into your twist, your gaze can be wherever it's comfortable for your neck here. And again, to make a little more space for your torso in this twist, you can walk that left foot toward the left edge of the mat. And inhale, untwist. Bring that hand down. We'll sweep the leg around back into your tabletop position. From here, finding one last downward facing dog. Settling into it here just a little bit. Give those knees a little more bend if that's comfortable for you. Soften the neck. And walk hands to feet or feet to hands. Either way, into half standing forward fold. Exhale, sink into standing forward fold. Soften the knees a little bit. Walk your feet a little wider, maybe the width of your mat or so. Just giving yourself space here to sink into your standing forward fold. The backs of the hands could rest on the floor. You could clasp your hands to opposite elbows. Or if your balance is feeling a little tricky today, you could take your hands to a couch or a chair or a bed, something that is not moving or won't move, won't slide out of the way if you push on it a little bit. If you're holding onto your elbows, let go of them. We'll inhale and move halfway up, so walk those hands up the front of the legs. This time take your gaze forward. Just a way to even out that blood pressure after being upside down in your forward fold. And when you're ready, inhale, sweep those arms up, coming back to standing. And exhale, hands back down to your heart. All right, come down to the floor. Once you get there, find your way onto your back. We'll take the soles of the feet together, knees out wide into a reclined bound angle pose. You can make this a little more cozy by tucking folded blankets or thick enough pillows underneath those legs so they have something to kind of settle into. If you don't have any props, taking your hands in fists and kind of tucking them by your seat where your legs meet your hips. That can give a little support here for your bottom half as well. Take your knees back toward the ceiling, feet flat to the floor. Find your way back upright, coming up to seated. As you come to a seat, we'll start out having ankles flexed and toes pointed up toward the ceiling, finding good length here in your spine. Sitting on a blanket or pillow, something to just lift your hips a little bit, can make it a little bit more comfortable in your hips and back here. We're moving into a twist. So bend your right knee, right foot is flat on the floor. Finding length in your body, take a deep inhale. On your exhale, twist to the right. So your left hand holds on to that bent knee, right hand comes to the ground behind you, and gently moving into a twist. Inhale, untwist, turning forward, straighten the right leg supported by the floor. Bend that left knee, find height in your spine. Inhale, and on your exhale, twisting to the left. So left hand moves to the ground behind you, and right hand can hold on to the left leg in your twist. Inhale, untwist, turning forward, taking the soles of your feet together and knees out wide. You can change exactly how close those heels are to your pelvis. Having them a little further away can be easier on your knees. Sit tall. Take a nice inhale. With your exhale, leading the way with your belly button, move into a forward fold. That spine stays long. With an inhale, press your way back upright, sitting tall. Take those knees back toward the ceiling and find your way back down to your back here. Settling into a brief shavasana. Hands rest on your abdomen or backs of the hands rest on the floor. Take 4 full, deep breaths here. After that last big exhale, find a full body stretch from the tips of your fingers to the tips of your toes. Then find your way upright into a seated position that is comfortable for you. Take your hands together at your heart. Find a deep inhale, and with your exhale, give a slight forward fold or bow to end your practice. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you next time.